Welcome to Talks with Stephen Bradley Waters. In this episode, I want to talk about pressure and ambition. Pressure and ambition go hand in hand. It's a bit of a blessing and a curse at the same time, isn't it? Because if you've got ambition, then it means you want to strive to do something. Inherently, maybe you've got a skill and a passion, but the pressure can be debilitating and it's insufferable. Anyone that's followed my journey, I recognize that, I have multiple projects on the go. I am ambitious, but I exert an awful lot of pressure on myself, which makes me exhausted and can make it hard, sometimes hard for me to appreciate the progress. So, for instance, I've done 6 books at this point. I'm very consistent with my video content. I produce multiple videos every day for years. I've always been consistent with it. While I have something to say, in all honesty, I'm excited for the moment when I don't, so I get to rest. That'd be nice, but there's always something on my mind. And likewise with the books, there's so much pressure I put on myself with that because, again, if you've got something to say it. And so, like I've spoken previously, I've got 4 manuscripts, all over 100,000 words. So effectively, they just need editing, and they get published into a book. So that's literally 4 books ready once edited to release. But of course, the editing process is just as important a part as the writing in itself. So there's an awful lot that goes into it. Effectively, you're sculpting, fine-tuning, and really, really refining a narrative, which is just as important as telling the story in the first place, And then, of course, there's stages. But yeah, so the pressure I put on myself with those, if anyone's been seeing my journey, they'll recognize, even like throughout December and January, I've been like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I kept putting it off and putting it off, which wasn't surprising to me in the end. Because I've always said that my most productive period in terms of my writing and creativity is between February and May. I'm more of a spring person, like in terms of when I get really passionate and firing, it's like crazy. It just a spark comes, out of nowhere. I just get so passionate about it, and it consumes me. And like literally just transcended into February now. And straight away in the back of my mind, I'm like, right, I'm going to start getting this done. But look, not make excuses or saying it just to convince myself. It's like, I feel it. I feel the excitement to get back to working on that side of myself. So I'm going to finish off the audiobook we just get the image here. To Find Your Peace to Save Your Soul, I released in August in last year, 2024. But I still haven't finished the audiobook because there's so much going on that year. I just decided I lost the desire to finish the audiobook, even though, I recognise how good it was, but I just kept stopping. So I need to finish. There's about 10 more chapters to record for that book. But I'm looking forward to doing it now. So I'm going to probably I maybe release a video of me recording a chapter as I get back to doing it. Because once I start, it'll finish. So effectively, once I start recording the next chapter, it should be finished in a week, because I'm going to find that consistency to finish it. Just focus. And then we'll get this book done. But I think it's really important, like, me talking about it and sharing that side of the journey, because I want people to realize that it's okay sometimes to take a step back. It's okay not to have that pressure all the time, or to feel you have to always be perfect. It's like, yeah, the next book, for instance, that I kept saying I intend to release end of February, March. But that was on the assumption that I worked on it at the beginning of January. Haven't even touched it the whole way through January. So realistically, there's no chance it's finished. It's definitely not releasing in February. And March is a push at this point. But now I don't care. I don't care if it comes out all the way till May. I'm going to make it as great as I can make it. This isn't a rush job. It's not a case of trying to go, I made it. Look, I hit the target. I said I would. I don't care about the target. It's like, it'll happen when it happens. Well, it's more important that it's great. Yeah. So, in essence, compared to what I said before, you would consider that potential delays then. But I don't really see it as delays, because I just think that's always what it was always going to be anyway, really. I am a spring person. So that'll come out there. It's likely the next book after that, because like I said, there's multiple manuscripts. That will likely come out by April, May, I would assume. Then the next one, realistically, maybe September. I would say August, but then it's like, that's just pushing pressure on top of pressure. And there's other aspects to my life. It's not just books. So yeah, maybe the next one will be at September, possibly even October. I anticipated 3 this year, but what's the rush, you know? It may be that it's 2 this year and the other 2 manuscripts come out the following year. Could be done sooner if I want. We'll see how it goes, you know? But I think, again, I'm trying to show people that it's okay to relieve the pressure and just do it in a way that feels comfortable because it'll work out, you know? If it's meant to be and you feel passionate about it, then you'll do it. But too many people that, like, for instance, external people may pressure you to do something here and now. But when it comes to creativity, you can't force that. If you're a creative person, it comes with when you feel inspired. And for me personally, I can't force an inspiration. And fortunately, I know myself well enough from all the projects I've done with my books, for instance. They was all instigated in the spring. Heavy periods of books were done in that period. So I always know February, March, and April are pivotal with my books. If I don't make progress then, you know, I may still feel inspiration later. Like it can come in the summer, but it's very rare. But I think ambition's important if for people that are creative. So, like, for instance, I don't just pigeonhole myself with the books. I do my videos, but I take this very serious. My videos, you know, I don't sort of like I don't take shortcuts. I have a certain way of expressing myself, but I'm confident in that form of expression. You know, so I'm not someone that copies or mirrors anyone. I don't sort of look how someone else does something. I just figure it out for myself. You know. Um, so I don't have any formal media training or any formal sort of writing training. I haven't had any sort of classes with that. I just do it myself. So I read what I book right back, and I'm like, I love that. And it wasn't taught to me; it was innate. And how I am on camera and what I do with the videos here, I haven't been taught it. It's innate, you know. I don't write any notes. If you see me looking in a direction, it's because I've got an ultra wide screen here. It's just exactly the same background here as it is I'm looking at there. It's just a focal point where I tend to look sometimes. So if I'm looking there, I'm just looking at a screen with my face on it. It just gives me something to focus on. My camera is to the left, so ideally you would say anyone in media would look at the camera while they talk. It's to the left. It's not really comfortable to me. It's a bit blank, so I'll just look this way where I'm looking at me, almost like a mirror, I guess. When I look down, it's literally my keyboard. But it's just focal points when you think. So I'm more of a think on the spot person. I have a topic in mind. I don't prepare notes, and that's just how I am, though. Like, you know, I think that's a strength because I see some people, they do prepare notes or they write an entire speech, and while that keeps the content on point and structured, it also means that they can get flustered if they get confused. So if you lose your points, then you're gonna struggle. If you can lose track of the whole speech, oh, wait a minute. I'd rather just think on the spot, and I think that keeps your mind sharp. I think that's really important. So, sort of, if I was ever interviewed or anything like that, it's going to be no different to how I am now because I think on the fly anyway. So, that's important. But then just as important is how we structure our content. For instance, I invested in a decent microphone. I had a weaker one before. I upgraded it. It's not particularly expensive, £170 for this microphone. Um, then I've got an audio interface, which is a new thing that last year I upgraded all this. That was £100. So it's a bit of an investment, but I recognise how much content I was doing and it deserved the investment. Yeah, there's a better one, but I'm actually really happy with the quality, so we're good. The webcam, I'm really happy with my webcam. It's a generic webcam off Amazon. It only cost like 40 quid. I think about £40. I wanted to buy a really nice one, but I couldn't decide which one. I don't have the finances to get a really expensive camera. But in all honesty, I've been happy enough with the quality. The lighting, I've literally just got one ring light above my monitor screen, and I was so happy. Oh, and I've got a light bar above my monitor. I'm not sure how much that helps, but it's all on. But I was quite happy with the lighting, so I'm like, that's okay. It's not all about how much it costs, you know. It's like how does it work? When I've got too much lighting, I don't like it. First of all, it's a bit too bright, but then also I just don't like the quality of the image. I'm happy. So this is all from trial and error, by the way. But it's like refining it. It's like I don't think two people can have the same setup. It depends on the environment you are, the size of the room, the light, the existing lighting of the room, and all sorts. But it's up to us to figure it out. Be innovative. Like how are you going to try and do this setup and make it work? You know. Like recently, I've got this green screen. My room is not practical. It's not a big room, but I make it work because I want regardless of the environment, I want my content to be as professional as I can get it. Um, so yeah, I've got a green screen behind me. I literally, when I stop filming, I have to move that because it's impractical in my environment. And then when I want it back to do a video, I have to set it up again. I have to put it back. It's a frustrating situation. We would all love to have an office dedicated to content creation, of course, but we don't all have that luxury, at least yet. So we make it work. Um, and I think, to be honest, the investment for that, I think it's been worth it. It's not perfect, but I think it's been a good upgrade, and I'm happy with that. So that's my point as well, though, is that invest in your setup. It's like do what you need to like fulfill your ambitions. For me, it's not about how many views I get, how many followers I get. It's just to make sure that I create what I enjoy, and I do it for the right reasons, and I do it to the best of my ability. And the best of my ability is also the best quality I can give in terms of presentation. And I'm happy. Now, content can change. It may be one day I get a better camera. It may be I position myself different on the screen. It might be that I change the background. You just don't know. Everything evolves, but hopefully for the better, of course. But yeah, likewise, it's like when I'm writing my books, I do it specifically on a MacBook because it takes me away from distractions. You know, my existing setup, I can do it on my existing setup perfectly fine, to be totally honest. But I like the luxury of a MacBook because, for instance, compared to traditional laptops, it doesn't have the exhaustion fans and it sits comfortably on like your lap. So I can put a cushion on my lap and just put the MacBook on there and just type away and just enjoy myself. So it gives me that freedom to write anywhere I want, and it's got very good battery life. So that's how I do my books, and it's like that works for me. You know, like I said, it gives me that freedom to just find a space to sit and chill out and relax. And I think that's another thing as well. Not live with the pressure. So if I'm relaxed, I'll fight. What it is, I'm a I'm a strange one really. My sofa is like an L shape. My couch is like an L shaped one, and I have a specific section I sit when I watch the telly. When I'm doing my book though, sometimes I'll sit in my main seat, but sometimes I'll sit on the opposite end where it's not really used. So it's a very firm part of the sofa because it hasn't really been used much. Um, it just feels completely new area to me, you know. And I'm like, oh, this is my writing seat. I like this. Um, and I'd have things around me that I want. But yeah, it just takes me away from the moment. And we all have different ways of doing it. That's the thing. I think it's important people find their own ways to be creative and express themselves. You still, you know, it's obviously interesting to hear how someone does something, but I think it's important to figure it out for yourself. How people how people work is not exactly how I work, and I don't care though because I don't I'm not here to mirror someone. You know, a lot of people say when they write books, for instance, they just rough draft like crazy, and then they don't edit it until the end. But for me, that's a mess. And to be honest, you might think you've done a great job, and then you get through it, and it's like missing so much. My head can't operate like that. So a lot of the time, I'll edit as I go. So because I like to be able to read things back. So if I've been writing a chapter, I want to know what that chapter's about. So I would edit it as I go. It slows me down progress to the next one, but at least I know it's structured and I like it. I don't like perfect it, but you do it a bit, and that's how I operate. So when people say, "No, I don't do that," just get through it. It's like, that's fine. That's you do you, I'll do me. I don't mind. You know, it works. It works for me. Um, Yeah, so I think what one person does is for them, and one for others. Mine isn't novels though; mine's non-fiction. That so far, I am looking forward to writing a novel one day, and maybe I'll do it differently. Um, but I still think I'll end up doing it how I want. I don't really conform much to tradition. Yeah, I don't think there is a steadfast rule, you know, to the way we create. In the same way, like I said, you know, I don't think my videos, when I listen to when I watch everything back, I'm not someone that creates, doesn't see anything. I'm not, you know, I think the best way to learn is to watch yourself. That's the best way to learn. Like you could watch other people all day long, right? And then you could record your videos and never watch yourself because maybe some people have a hard time watching themselves to get insecure. The best way you're going to learn anything is watch yourself. You can see other people's content too, of course, but the best way you're going to learn is through yourself. So if you was to take the time to watch someone else, but you never see your own content, how the hell do you know how good your content is, and how do you know where to improve? So I watch everything back and I refine. So that's really important too. Likewise, when I write my books, I reread, and I find issues. Maybe there's repetitions. Maybe there's an issue with something. Maybe it's missing something. And it's like I'll always figure it out. So yeah, I'm just unique. I like to beat to my own drum and do it my own way. Um, and I'm confident in it though. I don't watch someone else's video and feel like mine's any. I don't feel mine's weak. Audience is relevant at the end of the day. Just because you get like 2 likes or you've only got 50 views, it's like I can't do anything about that. But I don't watch a lot of other content creators and feel like I'm inferior. I just don't think I've had the opportunity yet, and I haven't got recognised yet. That's all it is. I know I'm good at what I do. I watch a lot of my videos and I think, bloody hell, that was good. That was good. Liked it. Liked it. And the same with my books. I read my books. I go, that was a bloody good chapter. I really like that. So yeah, I'm very confident about myself. I'm proud of how far I've grown. Like I said, I'm always refining. I've only recently got this green screen. I had one in the past, but I didn't think it was worth ruining my room for. So when I relocated and changed home, I just left it. I thought, I'm not doing that again. But now I'm recognizing that if I want the quality, then it's up to me to do it. So if it takes a little bit more effort and a bit more intrusive, I guess, in the environment, and so be it. If it's going to make my the quality of my content better, and I'll always be doing that with the video content. I'll always be refining it. It might be one day I listen to my microphone and think, maybe I want a bit more from it, and maybe I do invest in a better one. Maybe later on I get a better camera, and I think, you know what, I want a nicer camera. But for where my environment is at the moment, I'm happy with my setup, and I can't see me altering it. I think sometimes something works is you can tinker too much, and there's no need to over. I don't think there's over tinker. I would love one day, to be honest, when I do videos, to have someone else. So like where you got the gap on the side there. It'd be nice if that was someone else sitting there and just chatting away. But I know also like the idea of being in like a studio, being in a room, and you've got. So things can change. Circumstances don't always stay the same. But if we talk about ambition, I think it's worth having a plan. So like I've got ideas in my head every year. Now the dates can change as we've already seen, but that was more me being overly ambitious last year. I've always done one book a year. Last year I had a holiday and there was some things with my back and things, so the book got pushed back slightly and it came out in August. But like I said, it always won a year, and then because I'd already made progress on other manuscripts in the interim, so I was like working on different things at the same time, and I recognised there's a book there. So I released my one August, September, and then I was going to release another one in December. But that was a real push, and it wasn't realistic. Without a rest, it could be done. But why should I just burn out? I didn't want to burn out. Um, so where I've said then, we'll do it for February. That was still me pushing over Christmas and just straight after Christmas. That's not realistic. It's not for a healthy lifestyle and just being happy. So releasing the next book in spring was probably more realistic and pragmatic, So that's okay. That's okay. So this year, for instance, I see, of course, getting this next book out. There's definitely going to be a book this year, perhaps 2, even 3. Who knows? I really don't know at this point. All we know, I'm just going with the anticipation one. The others could happen later, but I'm not forcing it. So the first book of the year will come out in spring. If I decide to release another one, great. If I decide that other things I want to do with my life, great, and I release. So the 4 manuscripts that exist could release over the next 4 years, couldn't they? Or it could happen sooner. But for this year alone, we've got another book coming. There's video content coming. I've been expanding my YouTube. I've been enjoying doing that. And we'll just see where the content takes me. I've done a lot, though, so I don't want to repeat myself. That's a part of the problem. Let me see if I can get this, my channel up. Just to show, because I think TikTok's a bit of a mess, but YouTube looks. I like the way YouTube is designed. And I like the way I've built it, really. So forget the views, because you don't always get recognition when you think you should. So there's my YouTube, and I'm really happy with it. There's been a lot of talks videos, so there's always something on my mind. And then I've got the video diary series. We've got a Star is Born series, which I'm really happy with. That's my spiritual series. There's also a spirituality section as well. I'm happy growing it, and I see this expanding. Maybe I do a new banner at the top. I may even change the image at some point, because that was a good few years ago. I had that one when I was a bit younger. But there's always ways to evolve. It may be I make another series which has new cover designs. Another series. At the moment, no. But that doesn't mean never, you know. Maybe it comes down to this. Like maybe I can, if I decide to show people how I create and things like that, it could. There could be a series based on guides like that, I guess. Um, I mean, I've got other series, like random ones. I like reading out loud sometimes as well. Like sometimes I haven't been reading lately, but when I do, I do videos where I like to narrate. I've really enjoyed doing that. So I think really it's about keeping track of your interests. Don't always do it just for attention. You know, I like to do what I enjoy doing. So like I said, if I'm if I'm reading, I've got them here, my reading series, and I'll probably find some more books to narrate because it's just it's a passion. It's different. I like to mix things up. Um, but yeah, this year alone, I see that obviously the book coming out. Hopefully, at some point the books take off. Let's see if I can get that one. So this is four of the books, but there's of course I've got two other books in my father's daughter series. The next book's a spiritual book, which Losing Your Mind to Find Your Soul is the current spiritual book. There will be another one next, which is exciting. And then after that, I've got another personal growth book, which corresponds with the other three. And then we've got one on society and freedom. I've got a history one. There's all sorts of books, you know. It's exciting. It's exciting. So that like it's quite exciting, isn't it? Because every time you release one, you forget. You get so used to the current collection to add another one. It's like it's mind blowing, and it never gets old. You know, it's always exciting when something comes, and it's more. It's like a recognition. So when that next book comes out, it's a recognition that 2025 has been successful. Yeah, it's something I have to make peace with, and it's not really peace, but I need to give myself more credit. Is the videos I do? Like, I've always said that I don't give myself credit for the videos. If I look at my year, for instance, and I'll always point out like the books and things like this and the audio books. I don't think how many videos did I record this year? How many you know? And the videos are just as important, if not more, than the books because they're easier for people to engage and see. You know, um, so I need to give myself more credit. I think for the videos I create, but maybe create less. I mean, it's hard for me to do less because if I've got something to say, I want to say it. But yeah, it's important that we don't live with too much pressure because too much pressure can sort of like break you in half as well. So it can help. Pressure can mold us, and it can help like a bit like a diamond. Under pressure, you can be refined. Um, superpower. You become really strong in yourself, you know. But if you do it too much and you don't take a break, you end up shattering into a million pieces, and I think lose focus, lose interest, which is sad. So if we take it a little bit easier on ourselves, it's important that we learn to rest and play. So, like for instance, with video games, with me. I innately know though. Sometimes I'll play video games and I might play them for a month or two, and I'll get really into it. And you think it's in some ways it's a waste of life, but it's not if you don't. When I look at the year as a whole, it didn't consume me for entire years. It was like stress relief. It was a distraction from the serious and heaviness of everything else. So I'm always fully aware that it's part of the process for me. If I went a whole year just playing video games, that for me is a waste. But if I achieve everything else around and that's included, then I think it's a very successful year, and it's part of like I said, it's part of my process. So don't beat yourself up about some of the distractions you have and other interests because part of it is like it helps sculpt you. Like for instance, you'll end up exhausting it and getting bored anyway. And then once you're bored, all of a sudden your passion ignites to continue doing what you was doing before. So that's great, isn't it? You know, I'd love to be someone that just works on a book and then the next book project and then next book projects, but I don't have it in me to do that. It gets too tedious. It's a heavy process, you know. I think some people take 4 years to write a book, and maybe a novel takes longer. I don't know. I haven't done one yet. But with my non-fiction books, it usually takes me 3 months. But lately, I've been pushing it to 5 because I keep delaying it and making it, and not making excuses, but I find other things to do to distract myself a bit because it's been so many heavy years of pushing myself to achieve this, to achieve this, to achieve this. The process just feels exhausting now. Like I know it's like if it's 3 months, it's 3 months of just that, and I want to be happier too, you know. So I try to delay. So I extend it slightly so I can fit in those other distractions sometimes, just to make it a bit more easier. It just makes it less stressful. But either way, it gets done. So I don't think there's a problem with it, to be totally honest. But it is a lot of pressure to go through that, I think, and then go and write another book straight after. Some people, again, maybe they do, but I think it really depends on your hobbies and interests. I don't like, for instance, I don't just create video books, though. I do videos as well. So I put a lot of myself into this too. And sometimes you just want a break. So if I've done all this and then I'm also doing my books, I don't really want to jump straight into another book, do I? Because then all my life becomes is a content creation all the time, like all the time. It's like you need other aspects to life. So it's important to have ambitions, but important to, I think, take it easy on ourselves sometimes too. Like I say, I think anyone seeing my journey will see that I do invest in myself. I do take it serious, and I do achieve a lot, and I'm aware of that. I could always achieve more, but it's you got to ask yourself how much are you prepared for the sacrifice to achieve more. Like how much more do you need to achieve? Like, and is it necessary? It's not a cop out to say I don't want to do all that. It's like it's fine because you shouldn't have to. You know, some people make it. Some people do that. They make it seem like, oh, if you're not committed, it's like no one's saying you're not committed. Some of us want balance to our life. That's what I want. I want a balanced life. I don't want to just be successful and never get to enjoy success. If that makes sense. What's the point then? I don't want to just be a trophy. You know, I want to enjoy my life too. So, and I think, and I think when you put so much effort into things, you deserve that. So, for instance, if I was really successful and money was flowing, I can enjoy, you know, I'll be focused in periods. There'll be periods where I'm still writing my books. There'll be periods where I'm just switched off entirely while I work. But there'll also be times when I want to travel and see the world and I want holidays and embrace life because I think that's just as important as the creation process, you know? Um, and I don't hide away from that. That's how I see my life, very balanced. There'll be times when I'm productive. There'll be times when I take it serious. And if there's appointments and um, collaborations, I'll take that serious. You know, I'm committed, I'm reliable. But if I don't want to do something or I want a period away from something, then I'll take that period away and I'll make it clear, you know? And I think that's the thing. It's up to us to assert our life. But yeah, the other side of that, of course, is do make sure that you achieve what you set out to do. So, like every year, there's a book so far. Whenever there's a year there's not, that means obviously there's nothing to write about at the moment. But like I said, I've already got because there's a manuscript. These 3 or 4 books that I'm talking about, they will be coming out over the next year or two. They're not coming out. There's too much done. They're coming. They're definitely releasing 3 books minimum. Definitely releasing. So that'd take my 6 up to 9. But it's just when they release, you know. Because I'm not. I don't want to release something I'm not proud of, and I don't want to go. Oh, I've got to edit it, get like release it, and then keep editing it. That's no point. So, yeah. Hopefully, I've gone some way to really showing people the pressures that can come on us, the fact that we should be easy on ourselves. Because maybe by hearing it back, you can see how unnecessary these stresses. If it's a given, you're going to do it. But again, it is important that we segregate time for it. And I think that's the thing people don't see with me. They don't see how hard work I do behind the scenes. Because people fill gaps in how they want, you know. Like February and March is going to be really, really huge with this book. But people, if it releases in March or April, that means I was intense with the book because there's a lot to do. Like, it's going to be a lot of work. Meanwhile, finances are tight and I'm getting a bit fed up. So I'm going to be trying to get back into doing traditional work, like maybe forklift or something, pay the bills. You know, it gets me around people. So there's community. It's like there's different reasons you'd go into environments like that. But nice to be around people too. So if something pops up, then I'll consider it. But that obviously makes it harder for me to do the book in the spare time because now I'm bouncing around a full-time job. But I'm not afraid of that. It just delays. You know, where I say March, April for this book potentially, if if I'm more busy because of a job, then maybe it gets pushed to May or June. Okay, if whatever happens, happens. You know, either way, it'll be out this year. So I actually don't even care if it pushes it all the way back to summer. It just depends what gets in the middle of it, doesn't it? If I'm free as a bird and I can just focus on a book, it'll come out March, April. If not, they're not. But we have other obligations to our life, don't we? So someone could do something quick, but then what distractions do they have and what commitments do they have? It's not a competition. It's not to say, oh, they can only do it because of that. Who cares what the hows and whys are? It's like, but just it doesn't matter how someone else does something. It's how are you going to do it? And then just set yourself some sort of program regime that's going to make it successful. And that's all it is. And sometimes it is reinvestment in ourselves.